Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this, your Taurus September 2023 reading and forecast. Hi, I'm Nigel Saint James, clairvoyant, and I've done a number of one-on-one clairvoyant readings for Taurians from different parts of the world over FaceTime and Skype during the last month. And if you might be interested to see what's involved in that, then just check out the information that's in the description. Now, apart from the spiritual gift of clairvoyance, I was also bestowed at birth with the spiritual gift of healing. My sole contract with respect to healing is that I must provide it for free to those who ask. And therefore, there is no charge, no obligation, no hidden catches or anything with healings. Just contact me, check out the information that's in the description. Now, as the subscribers know, and it's great to see the subscribers, thank you for having me in your home each month. I really appreciate it and look forward to seeing you. I really do. We don't have any video advertisements breaking their way into this content, do we? Oh no. And we only need to have 5 cards, because it's not just a 2-second summary of what a card is. Actually, it goes quite in depth for a few minutes per card. And so let's get them underway, shall we? Now, I might use my pen to point out a couple of interesting things, should I see something that's there that might be of interest to you. And I, of course, will be taking my interpretation of the art, but of course you're free to take your own interpretation anyway, while you listen along with me. So let us see what's in store now. So there is the 4 of Swords. Here is the Knight of Discs. This is the Fool card. I'm so pleased to see that Fool card there for you. Truly I am. Here is the Lovers. And finally, what do we have down here? We have, what about this one? This is the Tower. I'm also going to take a mood card. Now, some people call them oracles. You don't ever really see me doing this, do you? But I just feel compelled to this month for some reason. And let's have a look at it. We'll just have a look at it first up. Awaken your vulnerability. Well, why don't you come now, sit down here next to me. You and I can have a good close look at the imagery on these paintings together, see what they have to say while I do the reading for you. Okay, let's have a look first at this thing, which I said at the end. I very rarely do, but I like the art on it, and it says, awaken to your vulnerability. Look, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. I think you'll probably be able to work out for yourself what awaken your vulnerability is. I will say this. Vulnerability is not a weakness. Vulnerability is a membrane which permits good things to come into you. If you become hardened like a shell, whether it be in matters of the heart or other dealings with people, then you miss the opportunity to have a good social or romantic contact with someone. Vulnerability also means forgiving yourself and having compassion to yourself. It also means letting go of baggage from the past. Nothing destroys, potentially, relationships, as you know, whether they be social or whether they be romantic, than people carrying baggage. Now, experience is one thing, baggage is another thing, as you know. Well, that's really all I want to say about that. You can go over there, and let's have a look at this card which comes in the center here, Major Arcana, the Fool. Now, there's a couple of symbols there. You see at the bottom of the card, there is a symbol on the right-hand side for air, which is this. And over here is a Hebrew letter. Now, Hebrew is obviously the language of the ancient Old Testament or the Hebrew Bible. Now, I don't take a religious approach to this, but I do take a spiritual approach to letters and words within sacred texts of all sorts of different cultures around the world. This letter is the letter Aleph, which is the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet. And Aleph indicates the oneness and unity of the Creator. Now, I'm not preaching religion here, I'm talking about spiritual things. Aleph, as I say, does talk about and indicates the unity of the Creator. It hints that beyond the illusion of separation and duality is actually an underlying oneness, that nothing is separate and that the Creator is the underpinning and source of everything. Now, Aleph, I think, also represents the creation of something from nothing, naturally. It is the essential symbol of beginnings and ultimate reality that can't be talked about. It's timeless, spaceless, and present everywhere. I'll come into that when I look at these snakes here in a second. It is the one, the source, that cannot be divided, and it represents a perfection that really is beyond anything that we can understand. Now, speaking of things that we cannot understand, I'll just pull this out a little bit more. You see these snakes that are going around here? There's 1, 2, 3. They represent what mystics refer to as the three things. That is the veil, the first veil, which is called nothing that is not. The second veil, which is called nothing without limit. And the third veil, limitless light. Now, what's also interesting here is that there's a couple of other symbols here which I think are important. First of all, this tiger. Now, the tiger generally represents fear, and he is somebody who walks. Well, when I say he, it's depicted as a man, but at this stage, this is a spirit before it goes down this vortex into space and time, into created universe. This fear represented by the tiger has been conquered by the fool, so you will conquer fear as well. Now, he has tattoos of the sun, the moon, and some 3 alchemical symbols here. There is, I see here, also butterflies going around, and they simply represent potential that's going on. These 2 streams of water and this thing of fire, they get sucked down, almost like down the drain, along with the fool who goes into creation. And the fool is dressed in vernal, that is spring-like green, which really represents 0 degrees Aries. That is the spring equinox, solar spring, that is. You might ask yourself, what is this crocodile here? What does that have to do with anything? Well, for me, in ancient Egypt, the Egyptians around the Nile River knew that there were crocodiles, and they knew that crocodiles laid eggs, which hatched into baby crocodiles, of course, but they could never work out what the gender of a crocodile was. And so they had the view that crocodiles spontaneously generated life. And that's how I look at it. And what this is talking about here is there is a spontaneous generation going on in your life now. So this is a time when you should trust, be ready to take a risk. There is a courage here for you to stand your own ground. There's a great degree of a desire for freedom and independence. You'll have a great degree of creativity. There's enormous potential within you, and the possibility really to take a leap and listen to your own heart's voice. Now be in the present, and also understand that you can do anything at the moment. Now, you know how we were talking about vulnerability just a moment ago. Well, here also is a question where you should, if you like, be childlike, be empty again, like a child. A child is vulnerable, isn't it? You are ready for a new beginning, I think, perhaps even a quantum leap. Give in, dare to leap, even if fear attempts to hold you back. But it won't, because you will have conquered fear, and trust the voice from within your heart. Really, what is the tiger of fear for you? How do you imagine the courageous leap into the new? What does it look like? Where does your heart call you to go? Say to yourself, I am a radiant being. I am a living treasure. I honor and value the unlimited resource of courage which is within me. I respect the nature of who I am. There is nothing to fear. I now follow my heart. I am open and ready to go wherever it may lead me. Now there's a couple of other major arcana around, so let's have a look at them. This one here first we'll deal with, which is, of course, the Lovers. And let's actually, first of all, the association here is with Gemini, and there's a separation between twins. Even though twins come from the same egg and the same sperm, there is nevertheless a duality. So there's a concept here of the reconciliation of opposites. And there's another Hebrew letter over here. This one is Zayin. Now Zayin, let's have a look at it. Now, you see this sword that's here? Zayin itself is like a sword, isn't it? There's a handle and there's the sword going down. And it is shaped. It's the symbol, really, of spirit, of sustenance, and of struggle. And it represents the seventh day, the day of rest and spirituality, which completes that old biblical story in chapter 1 of Genesis in the Hebrew Bible and Old Testament of the 6 days of creation, and on the seventh there was rest. But it includes the 6 days and 6 directions of physical reality, and it also stands as a unique seventh principle, or energy, the spirit which activates the physical. We're talking about that with Ein Sof here. Now this is the source of all movement. It is the impregnating principle which activates the creation. Now shaped like a sword, the Zayin, as we see it here, it represents all movement. It represents the struggle between opposites, the struggle for existence, the struggle for sustenance. It is the power within you that causes you to speak, to make things happen, to live. And interestingly, Zayin is also the source of rest, and it teaches you to harmonize between the spirit and perfection related to the seventh day of rest and the matter of the 6 days of work. Now, if we have a look at the artwork on it as well, what might that tell us? Let's just pull out a bit so I don't get too stuck on that image that's there. What we have here, I think, is that the figures in this card represent the Emperor of the Tarot as the red lion and the Empress as the white eagle, sharing a sort of a tantric kiss with their lower halves transformed in accordance with their animal nature. Now the woman is white eagle on her lower half, while the man is red lion on his lower half. Now above them is a robed figure in the shape of an Orphic egg, and that's overseeing the marriage between them. And he's making a gesture in the form of a cross. I don't think there's anything particularly significant in that from myself. Now bees I get here because look at this background here. This is all like honeycomb, isn't it? Or the inside of a beehive. Bees are both solar and lunar and build their cells in a 6-sided polygon shape or a hexagon. Now the hexagon is a 6-sided shape. This is the 6th major arcana, incidentally, or known as major arcana number 6. And pretty well everything in nature has 6 sides to it. The cells in your body, for example, are 6-sided here, because the 6-sided structure is the most efficient and harmonic structure. And in this card, the bees, combined with the organizational structure of the honeycomb, are transformed into a chalice, I suppose, filled with the elixir of honey. Now the sword that's here I'll have a talk about this in a second, but I'm just getting the feeling of, well, naturally there's a relationship with this Hebrew letter in my mind, but this sword also separates, yet two things, when they dissolve after being separated, can be recombined to form a sweet elixir. I think there is a choice for you to make. Now, not only a choice, but I think that I'm getting this feeling you need to look at all angles before making a decision. Now, you could well become a mediator on bringing a couple of people together as well. Because the meaning, I think, around here, the energy is about the reconciliation of opposites, as I said before. So you need to look at harmony in relationships, and it may well be that you need to make a major life choice on the direction ahead of you. Now, making a choice using a sword means splitting something into two, and that is letting go of one thing and taking another. Letting go because you have given it away so as to pursue something else. So maybe there is a choice on the direction ahead of you, which may not seem significant now, but which could well turn out to be. Now, it may also be the case that there is a mutual sexual attraction and sexual connection here, but again, this is a major arcana, and so I don't get the feeling that it's a one-night stand, but something which is a committed relationship, or something that could turn into a committed relationship. I do have to say, though, that because the card is down here and it's touching on the Fool and beneath this Four of Swords, which we'll get to shortly, this could well indicate a wonderful and exciting love relationship. Now, I do say this, current relationships are either going to deepen or they are going to end. Now, new methods for personal growth and integration of your own opposing aspects present themselves to you as you turn towards and interact with a partner. What do you seek in the people you love, and what comprises a fulfilling relationship for you? Say this to yourself, and this doesn't just refer to romance, but I am now ready to meet the partner I have always longed to meet. And then that takes us to, we need to move along, I think, don't we? I think we'll have a look at this other major arcana, which is, and it's denoted here as this symbol here for Mars. Well, really it is Mars, because it's Mars in full attack mode, breaking down the tower. But also here, there's another, as you can see it, Hebrew letter that's there. That's called Pe, and it means mouth, and refers to the power of speech. Now, in my opinion, speech is actually a spiritual power which can cause good or evil depending on how it is used. In a certain way, what you think and how you are and what you speak have the power to become. Words do have power, and so do thoughts. Violent words lead to violent actions. The quality of the speech is considered to be the quality of life's essence for me, and of creative existence. And this Pe reminds you that your words are precious as gold, not to be spilled haphazardly. Now, the shape of this thing here really represents, I think, the spiritual spark of the soul contained inside the spiritual or the physical body. Now, with words and silence, you can communicate the essence of your soul and existence. Now, this requires that the inner and outer life match, that the physical existence is fully aligned, manifesting the spiritual intentions of the soul. However, alignment of the physical with the spiritual is not always easy, is it? The normal balance of human life is perhaps 1% or less spiritual and 99% physical, whereas really it should be the reverse, but it's bloody hard to live that way, I am the first to admit. But the power of this Pe is, like this thing here, a double-edged sword. I'm pretty sure the book of Proverbs in the Hebrew Bible or the Christian Old Testament, I think it was Proverb 18, verse 21 that said, "Life and death are in the hands of the tongue." Now, because of this, the pay represents the requirement to govern your own nature. Routine speech, speech to manipulate, all the distortions of speech must give way to viewing speech as a miracle, as gold too precious to be spilled. Then speech can be used for its true purpose, to speak your destiny and to activate spirit through the thoughts and your speech. Now, as if to reiterate that concept of mouth and as speech, we can see here that we have a crazed male pig, wild pig, which is belching fire and roaring out a word of power that brings the lightning. That is the initiation, enlightenment, or a sort of a moment of orgasm. Now, behind the tower, well, let's have a look at this thing here. First of all, I'm looking at this blazing red eye here. This could well be the eye of Shiva that can destroy the universe with the opening of its lid. And there will also be for you during this time, I think, some far-reaching inner transformation and healing. Do you know, I actually think that this is the best healing card in the pack. The old is being destroyed to make room for the new. There's a spiritual renewal, a self-knowledge, a release of burdens, breaking down of old forms or patterns, and there's something of a calm after the storm, and I'm getting this from this card as well that's here. Really, there is what I would call a consuming, purifying fire that destroys the old and sweeps it away. Nothing is spared. The tower of the ego will be shaken to its very foundations, and anything that you attempt to cling to will be destroyed by this transforming power. The apparent securities of the past have begun to waver and topple. You are outgrowing things, and all that remains is trust, the knowledge that all events in life arise from the endless love of the source, and bring you the possibility for learning and recognition. This understanding of the true nature of events transforms even apparent losses or painful disappointments into the valuable gifts they really are. Now, I also think that times of desperation and inattention, and you would have experienced those in the past, well, when recognized, do you know, you look back on them, they really are the most fruitful, growing phases of your life. So you are in the midst of or about to enter into an extremely intensive transformatory process. Now, whatever is destroyed or shaken within you serves to purify you and to make room for something new. So allow it. Are you ready to view yourself and life with new eyes? Observe yourself in daily life. Situations may seem to repeat themselves, but you will not continue to repeat old, limited, or restrictive behavior patterns. Say this to yourself: who I think I am is a belief to be undone. I have the ability to heal and restore myself at all times. And everything that happens in my life, it happens for the best. Now, we're going to move quickly along here. We have here the Four of Swords, which I think is bringing you rest from aggravation and stress that's been going on in your life. Here we have Jupiter in Libra. Now, Jupiter is the great benefic and comes in and calms things down, whereas Libra brings you adjustment to things here. Notice how these heavy laden clouds are starting to clear, and here is the Four Swords together, represented by four here as well. The four weaving almost. It's like a sort of a weaver's loom that we call here. This talks also about things that come in fours, among which are the four immeasurable things, being compassion, love, sympathetic joy, and just take it easy. It could also be considered, I think, rest from strife. There is a need to step back from stressful situations, but can you get a holiday to recharge your batteries? A mental health break is needed. Now, conflicts don't necessarily go away, but I do think that you do need some time to take some time out from them. Trust your intuition to know when is enough time or rest for you. You have the inner clarity now to successfully carry out your plans. Now be sure at all times that you feel good about what is happening. What supports or what hinders your clarity? Check your surroundings and rearrange them for calm and centeredness and say, I am at peace with myself. And then we turn finally, I think, to the Knight of Discs, and I've got a very sense here that Virgo and Leo are going to be important to you during this period here. Well, this is a time here of great success. All this wheat growing around, this is harvest. He's laying back and relaxed, and you should be relaxed. Even this warrior's horse is sitting down and just eating here. This is, he's a master of health and material abundance. And questions of health, he's valuable in, it might have something to do with a doctor or a healer. Now, in financial questions, his advice should be taken here, I think. This is maybe someone connected with land, patient, a hard worker, clever. Someone who is really a time for you to act with your instincts, I think, and what you know works, rather than to try and create something new. But be careful that you don't become a workaholic. Now's the time to put your abilities to work in service of some kind. Is there anything that you procrastinate about or want to avoid in your life? Now, this is a time when you are going to have great powers to work and get things done, plenty of energy, so you should say this to yourself at this time, that with every task that comes my way, comes also the energy needed to accomplish it. A very productive and successful time for you. Well done, you. Good job. Well, I personally found that to be fascinating, didn't you? What a lot of great things happening for you this month, and don't you deserve it? Surely you do, that's for sure. And it's going to be probably until now next month before there's your card goes back over there, that mode card. It won't be until next month now that I see you unless you contact me privately. So, but I would ask you this, if you did enjoy the reading, then on the way out, please hit the like button because it helps the YouTube computer do things with the videos. You understand how that works. Probably a lot better than I do, I should say. But until I see you again, remember one thing, and it is this, that you are a legend. And I look forward to seeing you again next month. And until then, it's bye for now.